Have you ever wondered how long a person can pretend to be happy before the mask cracks? Or how much it hurts to discover that to your family, you're just the villain of their story, no matter how much you've sacrificed for them? I found out at 45 when my entire world collapsed because of a single night of weakness. A night that, ironically, was the first time in years I felt alive. My name is Sophia, though at this point, my name doesn't matter anymore. I am, or was, the wife of Luis, a 47-year-old man who spent the last decade treating me like just another piece of furniture in our perfect Mexico City home. I'm the mother of Marcela, 25, and Isabel, 19. Two daughters who have erased me from their lives as if 25 years of sleepless nights, sacrifices, and unconditional love had never existed. My sin, daring to be human, daring to make a mistake after years of perfect marital devotion. For nearly 2 decades, I was the exemplary Mexican wife, the one who woke at 5 in the morning to make breakfast, the one who kept the house spotless for unexpected visits from my mother-in-law, who scrutinized me with hawk-like eyes, the one who smiled at family gatherings while enduring venomous comments about her weight, her clothes, or how she raised her daughters, the one who lay in a bed where her husband no longer touched her, pretending it didn't hurt. Luis and I married young. He was ambitious, hardworking, and I was madly in love. Over time, he became a successful engineer, and I became the shadow accompanying him to corporate events. Mrs. Gutierrez, they called me, as if I had no identity of my own. I gave up my career as an accountant to raise our daughters. It's temporary, I told myself. 22 years later, it was still temporary. My mother-in-law, Doña Carmen, never thought I was good enough for her son. Too plain, her gaze said. Too complacent. The irony is that she was the one who taught me to be the perfect wife. The one who never contradicts, who's always available, who never complains. My marriage faded like ink on a letter left in the rain. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day, nothing legible remained. Luis came home late, tired, irritable. He spoke to me like I was his secretary. Sophia, where's my blue shirt? Sophia, remember to call the plumber. Sophia, dinner is too salty. The last time I tried to seduce him 3 years ago, he pretended to fall asleep. After that, I stopped trying. And then came that call from Claudia, my friend since college. Single, free, always living on the edge. Let's go to Cancun for a week. No husbands, no kids, no obligations. Just us. Married women don't travel without their husbands, Luis said when I told him, without even looking up from his phone. Something inside me shattered. After 22 years of marriage, after raising 2 daughters, after sacrificing my career and my youth, was I still just property? A married woman who needed permission. I'm going, I said. It wasn't a question, and so began my descent into hell. Update 1 Cancun welcomed us with a warm, humid embrace. After years of routine, the salty Caribbean air tasted like freedom. Claudia and I stayed at an all-inclusive resort, the kind with open bars and activities for carefree adults. What irony, right? Me, at 45, had more worries than gray hairs. The second night, Claudia introduced me to her nephew, Rodrigo, a 20-year-old vacationing with friends at the same resort. Tall, tan, with the carefree smile of someone who still believes life is fair. He looked at me in a way no man had in years, like I was desirable, like I was visible. You're really my aunt's friend. You look way too young, he said, handing me a margarita. I laughed like a teenager. I felt ridiculous and alive at the same time. 3 margaritas later, Rodrigo invited me to dance at the hotel club. 4 tequilas later, he kissed me on the beach under a sky full of stars that seemed to mock my wavering morals. 5 drinks later, I agreed to go to his room. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't love. It was hunger. Hunger to feel like a woman again, to feel wanted for who I was, not for what I did for others. It was selfish and liberating, and in that moment, I thought of no one but myself. The next morning, guilt hit me like a hangover. I slipped out of his room before he woke, the bitter taste of betrayal on my lips. I spent the rest of the trip avoiding him, ignoring his messages. Claudia noticed my distance but said nothing. She had her own secrets, I guess. I returned home convinced I could bury that night deep in my memory. A slip-up, a mistake, a moment of madness no one had to know about. But fate, or maybe my own stupidity, had other plans. A week after I got back, Luis was waiting for me in the living room. In his hands, my phone. On his face, an expression I'd never seen before. Not pain, but pure contempt. "Who is Rodrigo?" he asked with chilling calm. "And why did he text you, 'I'll never forget that night'?" My world stopped. I'd forgotten to delete the messages. A mistake so basic, so stupid. He's Claudia's nephew, I stammered, knowing there was no turning back. What followed was a storm of yelling, insults, and accusations. Whore! Liar! Slut! Words I never thought I'd hear from the man I'd shared more than half my life with. You never touched me. You made me feel invisible. You killed me slowly for years. I screamed, unleashing years of resentment. Luis laughed bitterly. And that's your excuse for screwing some kid? That night, he called our daughters, made them come home for an urgent family meeting. He sat them down and told them everything, with exaggerated, twisted details. He didn't let me speak, didn't let me explain. Marcella, my eldest, always the serious and conservative one, looked at me like she didn't recognize me. How could you, Mom? What kind of example is this? Isabel, my little rebel, the one who always defended me, stayed silent, tears streaming down her cheeks. That silence hurt more than any insult. I want a divorce, Luis declared, and I want you out of this house, today. As I packed my things, I overheard Luis on the phone with his mother. You were right, Mom. You were always right about her. I left the house I'd lived in for 2 decades with a small suitcase and a shattered heart. No one asked where I'd go. No one offered help. No one considered that maybe, just maybe, I deserved a second chance too. The irony wasn't lost on me. When a man cheats, it's because he's a man with needs. When a woman cheats, it's an abomination that deserves exemplary punishment. Went to Claudia's, the only person I thought would understand, but even she seemed uncomfortable with me there, as if my misfortune were contagious. Just a few days, she said, until you find a place. The message was clear, not even. My best friend wanted to be associated with me now. Update 2-3 months have passed since I became the official villain of my family. I found a small apartment near downtown using the emergency savings I'd tucked away. I guess this qualifies as an emergency. Rodrigo tried to contact me several times after the scandal, messages full of apologies and offers to be there for me. As if a 20-year-old could understand what it means to lose everything at 45. I blocked him. I don't hate him. He just means nothing to me. He was a symptom, not the disease. Claudia stopped answering my calls after 2 weeks. When I finally confronted her, she was brutally honest. I didn't know things would blow up like this. Luis is bad-mouthing me too. Says I encouraged you, that I'm a bad influence. I have to think about my reputation, Sophia. Reputation. That magical word that justifies any betrayal in our society. I ran into Isabel at the supermarket a month ago. She pretended not to see me. When I called her name, she walked faster. My own daughter, the one I cradled through fevers, the one I defended when everyone criticized her teenage rebellion, now avoids me like I'm a contagious stranger. Marcella was more direct. She texted me, Mom, I need time. What you did destroyed Dad. I can't forgive you yet. As if her father were an innocent victim. As if 15 years of emotional neglect didn't count. As if my pain didn't matter. I've tried to explain my side. Letters, calls, nothing works. The narrative is already written. I'm the mother who abandoned her family for lust. The unfaithful wife. The woman who couldn't endure like all the others. The most painful part. Deep down, I don't regret defying Luis. I regret getting caught. I regret losing my daughters, but I don't regret feeling alive for one night after years of slow death. Today, I learned from a gossipy neighbor that Luis is dating his secretary. She's 32. No one judges him. It's normal, they say. He's lonely. He's a good man. Claudia blocked me on social media. Apparently, she's planning a trip to Europe with other friends. Friends who were once mine too, who now ignore my messages. Weekends are the worst. The silence in my tiny apartment is deafening. Sometimes I wake up crying, dreaming I'm back in my old kitchen, making breakfast for my girls. Other times, I'm consumed by rage. I've started working again as an assistant at a small company. My coworkers don't know my story. To them, I'm just the new lady, the one who always eats lunch alone. I look in the mirror and see a woman I don't recognize. Thinner, with new wrinkles around my eyes, but also with a harder gaze. A gaze that no longer apologizes for existing. Sometimes I wonder if my daughters will ever speak to me again. If they'll ever understand that women break too, make mistakes too, deserve compassion too. But as I wait, I'm learning to live with the emptiness, and with the certainty that in this story, I'm not the only villain, just the only one paying the price. Update 3A year has passed. They say time heals all wounds, but I think only people who've never lost everything in a single day say that. A week ago, I received an invitation. No, not what you're thinking. Not an olive branch, not a reconciliation. It was an invitation to Marcella's wedding. A handwritten note accompanied it. Mom, you can come to the ceremony, but please don't attend the reception. I don't want tension on my special day. I hope you understand. I read it 7 times, searching for love between the lines. There was none, just condescension. Like she was doing me a favor by letting me watch my eldest daughter say I do. Like I was a distant acquaintance, not the woman who brought her into this world. I'd almost decided not to go when Isabel called. After a year of silence, hearing her voice choked me up. Mom, I know you got Marcella's invitation, she said, pragmatic in a way I didn't recognize. I think you should come, but Dad will be there with Vanessa, and Abuela Carmen, too. Vanessa, the secretary turned official girlfriend, 32, perfect hair, magazine cover smile, the woman now taking my place at family dinners, birthday photos, in the bed I shared with Luis for 2 decades. Do you want me to come, Isabel? I asked, hating the tremor in my voice, a long, painful silence. I want you to be okay, Mom, she finally said. Not a yes, not a no, a diplomatic dodge. That night, I cried until I had no tears left. Not for Luis, I stopped crying for him long ago. I cried for my daughters, who learned to live without me, who placed me in that special category of people, who are tolerated but not loved. I saw on social media that Claudia, my ex-best friend, returned from Europe with an Italian boyfriend. She posted photos of a dinner at Luis's house. My ex-husband, my ex-friend, and my daughters, all smiling like nothing had happened, like I never existed. Rodrigo moved on too, of course. His Instagram is full of college parties and trips. Sometimes I catch myself staring at his photos, not out of nostalgia, but at the absurd irony. The boy who destroyed my life doesn't even know it. To him, I was just a vacation fling, a story he probably tells his friends between laughs and drinks. My darkest moments. I imagine what my life would be like if I hadn't gone to Cancun. If I'd stayed the perfect wife, the selfless mother, the invisible woman, Luis probably would have cheated eventually. I would have kept dying slowly, day after day, forced smile after forced smile. I attended Marcella's wedding last week, sat in the back row like a stranger, watched my daughter walk down the aisle on Luis's arm, radiant in white, saw Isabel as a bridesmaid, beautiful and distant, saw Doña Carmen shooting me poorly disguised glares. After the ceremony, I hugged Marcella briefly. She was stiff. Thanks for coming, Mom, she said, with the warmth you'd give a coworker. Luis ignored me completely. Vanessa, clinging to his arm, studied me with curiosity, like I was some relic from the past. Isabel hugged me longer, tighter, but when I asked when we could talk, she just said, I'll call you, Mom, I promise. We both knew it was an empty promise. I left before the reception, as requested. In the taxi back to my tiny apartment, I watched Mexico City's streets pass by, full of families, couples, life, and then, for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not a happy smile, a bitter, knowing one. The certainty that yes, I lost everything because of one night of weakness, but I also gained something worth more than social approval, the truth. The truth about my marriage, my family, society's hypocrisy. Now, as I write this with a glass of cheap wine in hand, I realize my real mistake wasn't sleeping with Rodrigo. My mistake was believing that as a woman, I deserved the same understanding, the same forgiveness, the same second chance any man would have gotten. I'll end this story as I began it, without regret. Only with the bitter certainty that I was betrayed long before I betrayed anyone. Betrayed by a system that taught me to sacrifice myself into oblivion. Betrayed by a husband who saw me as property. Betrayed by a family whose love was conditional, only as long as I played my assigned role. And if my story resonates with even one of you, remember this: sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. Even if it hurts, even if you end up alone, even if you become the villain of the story. If my story touched your heart, I invite you to share it with other women who might be living something similar in silence. Subscribe so you don't miss my next updates, and leave a comment telling me, have you ever had to choose between being true to yourself or keeping the family peace? Do you think society judges men and women differently for the same mistakes?